full range, smart color, RGB LEDs. Gotta be honest, the pictures on here make this thing look amazing. I'm not saying it's not, but wow, great pictures. This is the Aura RGB LED strip kit from OPT7. It features full range, smart color RGB LEDs. They claim to be 300% more powerful than the average LED, giving your power toy, and I quote, vivid lights. They go as far to say if it's too bright, you can turn it down. You get complete color personalization with 16 stunning hues featuring various shades of red, blue, green, yellow, orange, purple, and pink. You can also showcase your vehicle with 3 custom light show options, which is white pulse, rainbow pulse, or multicolor flash. Now these stick on with 3M tape rated up to 10 kilograms, so as long as you clean a surface, you should be able to stick them just about anywhere. And the LEDs are rated for 50,000 hours, so if all goes well, it would probably outlive your ATV. Pretty much you pill and stick these things and they claim you can get up and running within 30 minutes or less. Although I will say that you probably should take your time and, make sure that they're installed right, out of the way, and yeah. What's up YouTube? Jason here with Byte My Bits. A little bit of a different video for me. Usually I cover tech products, stuff like that. So this is kind of a tech product, but it's just RGB lights. Basically, long story short, I went on a little camping trip. I have like this annual camping trip where we take out and we ride ATVs and play in the river, stuff like that. But this year I wanted to, bring a little bit of color to my ATV. So I decided to go with this OPT7 RGB LED kit. Now pretty much this comes with 10 different strips that stick on just about anywhere you want to. They use some basic RGB connections. They give you a bunch of different cables so you can run them wherever you really want to. They also have different splitters that you can use to help you wire them throughout your ATV. And I have to say overall, the kit was fairly easy to install. Now it took me a lot longer than the 30 minutes that they claim at the bottom because, well, for one, I was doing a little bit of recording when I was installing it, and two, I wanted to try to make it look as good as possible. Now to be upfront, I'm not going to use this video as an installation tutorial, but I will kind of walk through the steps that I took, at least most of them. So the first thing is I wanted to make sure that the ATV was clean. So I went through, I wiped everything down. I used a couple different cleaning products to wipe everything down. But at the end, I ended up using just a regular rag and some rubbing alcohol to kind of do that final cleaning on it to prep the surface for the 3M tape. Since I was trying to keep these LEDs from being viewed from the outside, that way all you saw was the lights and not the actual LEDs themselves, I did kind of tuck them underneath the lip of the body for my ATV. In this case, it's a Kemco Maxxer 450i. So after that, I did a little bit of planning, kind of see where I was going to put the LEDs, how I was going to get the wires to them, pretty much just making sure that I had enough splits and enough cables to get where I wanted to go and still tuck them out of the way so they weren't flopping around. Now in this kit, it actually came with 10 different LEDs, but I also bought the $20 add-on kit that gives me 4 additional LED strips. If you want to check out links to the product below, I will offer Amazon links for you to see how much they cost. Now after I found out where I wanted them to be, I just took the 3M tape apart and stuck them up there. Now this is a relatively simple process, and in the package you do get like heat shrink material so you can, water seal those connections. Plus you also get some zip ties to help you run wires throughout your ATV. The only thing is I don't have a heat gun, and last time I used this heat shrink stuff, I had a heat gun and everything worked pretty well, but I didn't have a heat gun. So I went down to the gas station, bought a lighter, and attempted to use a lighter, and it kind of sort of worked, but it was more of a pain in the butt than I wanted to deal with. So I took a different route. Pretty much I took this like RV clear silicone stuff and I just siliconed everything, every connection. I even siliconed the strip itself where it was connected to the body, like around the edges. That way in my head I was thinking maybe I don't want the 3M tape to get into water or get some mud on it or something like that and start degrading that stickiness. I did this to everything. I siliconed all the connections, I siliconed all of the lights because I get pretty deep with my ATV in the river and it definitely gets wet and it definitely gets mud on it. So, when you're playing around, you don't want your LEDs to fall off because that would be embarrassing. I didn't get a lot of footage of me running the wires, but I did try to hide the wires as much as possible throughout the ATV, making sure to basically zip tie them to parts of the frame or wherever I could to keep them away from the heat as much as possible. Something to keep in mind here, if you're installing this, the 3M tape can start to weaken if you put it next to something that's going to get hot, like your engine or your exhaust. Then I kind of had a perfect spot underneath the seat where I could put the control unit. Now this is pretty much the receptacle for the remote, where you have a little RGB remote. You can change the different colors, the different light show options that they give you. And it also works with your little miniature remote that you can put on your key ring. That comes with a few different basic options. Like you can change it from set colors to strobing or fading or even beating to the music, which is really nice to have on your keychain. But if you want full control over your LED lights, make sure to take that little RGB remote with you. But honestly, the color fading feature, where as long as you slow it down, it doesn't like change too fast, it just goes from each color slowly. That was a really good option and I liked the way it looked, so I just kept it that all the time. But anyways, I drilled a hole into the bottom near the battery to run the connections to the battery, and then I promptly filled that hole with the silicone to make sure that water didn't easily seep into this and just sit. Any RGB connection endpoints that I didn't have anything connected to, I definitely made sure to fill those up with silicone as well. I mean, I pretty much just went through a whole bottle of silicone. I don't know if you have to do that, but I do know that it worked, so. And that brings me to the next segment of how it worked, and it worked really well. The LEDs are vibrant, they're bright, it's a great kit, and I overall am very happy with the results. I like having the ability to switch it from different colors. I can strobe it, fade it, or just set it on one specific color. Obviously, some versions of color are brighter than others, like for example, blue is not as bright as pink, but that's just the way it works. But overall, I love the way it made my ATV look. It definitely changed it, and I'm very happy with my results. But that really brings me to the testing part, and although I didn't really focus on, going through as much stuff as possible, I just naturally went through the river a lot. Sometimes when I was in the river, it was only going up to the top tire at max, but there were a few spots where water just got everywhere, almost up to where I was sitting in my seat, and I even got stuck a couple times, but it was fun. On top of that, I was going through some mud, so mud definitely got caked up where the LEDs were, just going over them, sitting there overnight. I ended up going down to the river and just putting water in there and kind of scraping the mud off. While and after I was scraping the mud off, the LED strips never came off or even budged or anything. And then later that night, all of them came on and they worked perfectly. So I have absolutely no complaints. They performed well, and I don't know if it was the silicone that I used in order to waterproof them or if it's just the kit itself coming pre-waterproofed. I had no issues. Now you can take this entire review of mine with a grain of salt because I've only tested it for one weekend. This is no like longevity test where I'm gonna give you like a year later thing. All I can say is that I installed them, I siliconed everything and then put it through its paces over a period of about 2 or 3 days, and they still work great. They're still super bright, and I'm definitely happy with the results. So like I said, I will put links down below if you want to check out these RGB kits yourself. And while I won't say for a fact that you need silicone, I would probably just recommend it because you get clear silicone. It's not going to mess with the LED lightings themselves, but it will just kind of help waterproof everything to help you possibly last longer. But hey, that's it for today. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, post them down below, like and subscribe, and have yourself a good night.